Kiana Funderburk, and this is my e-portfolio. I'm a third grade teacher currently in Gwinnett County, and I am wrapping up the final semester of the Early Childhood Education Master's Program at Kennesaw State University. I will be getting my endorsement in teacher leadership there as well. So here's my e-portfolio, and this is my introduction page. Here's my overview page. On my overview page, I just talk about the positive experiences that I've had at KSU and how they have helped to transform me into a better teacher, a better educator, and how that transformation has benefited my students. Primarily, I talk about my action research and how it has encouraged me to continue to do action research in the future to help improve how my students perform, as well as how I educate future students. The next section that I'm going to get into today is the subject matter expert section. So in this section, I'm just showing what I've mastered throughout this program and how my artifacts from throughout the program align with the different standards for this section. So we have 4 standards, and then there are 3 artifacts each on the e-portfolio. I'm going to go to my narrative and go through each of the artifacts there. So for standard 1.1, which says possesses broad, current, and specialized knowledge of the subject matter and demonstrates this knowledge to colleagues, parents, and students, I have 3 artifacts. The first one was my infographic that I used in my action research, which just talked about what my action research was and gave more information to teachers or anybody that would be interested so that they could get a general understanding of what happened throughout my action research. Then I did my professional development reflection, which talks about how I shared my information from the study with my colleagues in an effort to encourage them to also pursue art integration in their own classrooms in order to help their students master reading Common Core standards as well. The last thing I have for standard 1.1 is my Google Classroom. So I use this because I talked about how I was able to communicate with both students and parents on here, provide instruction and things like that using technology. So as you can see, I was able to communicate with my students and they respond back, things like that. So my Google Classroom is very important for me. And I learned how to use that last summer in one of the first classes. The next standard is 1.2, which says possesses an interdisciplinary understanding of the curriculum and its applications to real life and accurately represents understanding through use of multiple explanations, technologies, and or strategies. So with this standard, I wanted to focus more on things that my students were able to make real life connections with through the different realms. So first I talked about our field trip this year, which was at the Funderburk Museum, and then that segued into how we were able to use Socrative to do discussions about rocks and minerals. And then I talked about how art integration was a strategy that I used in my classroom to help students that had been struggling with mastering the reading Common Core standards. The next standard is standard 1.3, which says possesses strong pedagogical content knowledge and uses that knowledge to create approaches into instructional challenges. So again here, when I talked about overcoming instructional challenges, I talked about the professional development to help other teachers whose children were struggling with the reading. I talked about how my students were able to collaborate with one another on the Google Classroom, and that helped them with their challenges. And I talked about number talks and how my students building a better sense of number sense helped them throughout the other content areas inside of math. The last standard, standard 1.4, says actualizes the integration of content, pedagogy, and interdisciplinary understanding through instruction that is integrated, flexible, elaborate, and deep. So I just talked about how in a PBL that I designed for my students, they were able to do, I integrated science, economics, writing, and math all in one for a PBL project. In one of the courses for my leadership endorsement, I did a video analysis of my teaching where I was able to do flexible grouping and model lesson